Oxfordshire News, Oxfordshire Life,
Graham Mack,
BBC Radio Oxford.
Let's meet a have-a-go hero now, Preston Likely. Good afternoon, how are you?
Great.
All right, well, you've made the front page of today's Oxford Mail.
Yeah.
This is an incident that happened on Saturday. Talk us through what happened, what you saw, and how you ended up saving a life.
Well, I just turned up at the pub on my bicycle.
So which pub is this?
This is the Tree Hotel in Iffley Village.
Right, in Iffley Village. So you've gone just for a drink at the pub?
Yeah, to meet some friends. And just as I was locking my bike up, I saw a crowd of people, and they all seemed transfixed at the roof. And then I looked up, and I saw a child standing up on the roof, the apex. It was sort of straddling the apex, standing up, this toddler. And my first thought was, he's going to fall. Why isn't anybody...
So how high up is this? I mean, this is a pub, so this is a bigger building.
Oh, yeah, it's like two floors up. And so it's pretty high, probably about 25, 30 feet. My thought was, what's everybody doing? Why are they so static? I thought, my God, I better act because nobody else is doing anything. And I just threw off my coat and turned into this Superman.
Could you hear the Superman music in your head?
Yeah, Batman, Likely Man. And it was mad, you know. I just didn't really think. I just thought he's going to fall.
Well, how did you get up there?
I managed to scramble up a drain pipe, grab hold of a gutter, which started collapsing in my hand, and somehow managed to pull myself up onto the roof. But then the tiles started falling away under my feet, and I thought, oh no, this is ridiculous. And I could see the child in front of me, and I thought, if he falls now, I'm going to have to leap for him, you know. So it was all just in that moment. I can't quite describe it. It was just focused, get the child, don't think about anything else, you know. It wasn't a thought of I'm going to fall. It was just that I will get that child, you know. So
are you a father yourself?
Yeah.
How many kids you got?
Just the one.
And how old's your kid?
4.
Did that go through your mind? Did you see your child, you think?
In about a femtosecond, every thought went through my mind, you know, relating to my child, that child, what their parents would think if it fell. Within a split second, all that would have been going on, and yeah, and that's what kind of propelled me up there. What happens if it was my daughter, you know? I'd like somebody to rescue her if I wasn't there.
So you grab this little chap, and then you got to get him off the roof.
Well, I couldn't get him off. Once I'd got him, it was very powerful, hence the reason he was up there anyway. And I had to really, really grip him hard, and he kept moving. I said, no, don't move. Please don't move. And I tried getting back down, but I had him in one hand.
You tried getting back down the way you came up? What?
No, the other side of the roof.
Which I'm guessing is because how did he get out onto the roof?
Well, apparently he'd gone up some step ladders that were around the back of the building, and he'd got up the step ladders, and then somehow, and I don't know how...
Well, there's maybe some work going on or something.
I don't know. Yeah. It defied logic. Yeah. Because the roof was so steep, I could hardly get up it, but I suppose he was lighter.
But you hadn't exactly planned ahead, had you? You'd got up there, now you've got to get down. Yeah, so what did you do?
Well, I tried getting down on the other side, and there was a drop, and I had one hand on the apex of the roof and one hand around this child. I couldn't just slide down because below, at the bottom of the roof, there was this plastic veranda roof, sort of corrugated plastic. And I thought, if I slide down, I'll fall through that.
Yeah, it won't hold your weight.
And everybody shouted, said, no, don't do that. Wait till the fire brigade come. And I did. I thought, I'll wait, you know, that's the best option.
So you sat tight with him,
yeah,
made sure he didn't do anything else daft, because he's got a bit of form for making bad decisions.
I don't know, you know, because his mother was screaming up saying, don't wriggle, don't wriggle. And
I bet she was.
The lad seemed to be completely impervious to her calls. And I was chatting to him saying, don't wriggle, don't wriggle. And he wasn't really taking any notice of me either. He was in this little bubble.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just gripped him and hoped that he wouldn't escape. And it was okay then. I felt confident. I'm not scared of heights.
Okay, so the fire service arrive. I'm guessing they put up a big ladder and send up a fireman.
Yeah, they did.
So now there's 3 of you on the roof.
Yeah, they kind of struggled to get the ladder up there because the roof is very steep, and they were kind of struggling to put the ladder on there. I don't know why, but I thought they came quite quickly. I thought they did a very good job.
Yeah.
And they calmed the situation down, because when you do see the fire brigade, that's it. You feel a lot better anyway, and I think everybody in the crowd felt better and reassured, and the parents did. And yeah, we got him down. I mean, that was still a bit of a struggle.
What's his name? What's the kid's name?
I don't know what he was called.
You don't? I mean, you're a true superhero. Now, did you manage to talk to his mum?
I did. She was in a state of disbelief and kind of shock.
I bet she was.
She said to me, she gave me a hug and said that she'll write me a letter, and I gave her my address. And I didn't get her name. I was.
You didn't get any name?
The fire brigade were there. They wanted to talk to me, and then there was the father and then the mother, all saying thank you.
You might get a medal for this.
Yeah,
you might. That's the kind of thing that people get medals for. It really is, and it should be too.
I'm not really into that hero stuff.
I think if you never know, you might find yourself at the palace. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. But I'm just so pleased, because if that had been my daughter and somebody had rescued her, I'd be over the moon, So,
Preston Likely, thank you very much for telling me your story. I've just got this vision of you arriving and then seeing what's going on and discarding your coat as if it's a cape.
Yeah, call me up. Likely to the rescue.
Preston Likely to the rescue. And then at the end saying, don't thank me, ma'am, it's my job. And then
all in the day's work.
Hey, terrific stuff. I hope you do get some kind of recognition.
Okay.
And if anyone from the family would like to give us a call, this is BBC Radio Oxford, the radio station where we salute Superman. What a beautiful day. Pretty good bank holiday weekend all in all, though. I hope you've enjoyed it so far. Well, Jamie Craig is the curator of the Cotswold Wildlife Park near Burford. How are you, Jamie?
I'm fine, thank you. Very busy day.
Are the staff more fascinated with the behaviour of the animals when the weather changes or the people?
I think the animals are easier to predict, and also spring's definitely in the air today. We've had a few people a bit confused about what the rhino were doing, but I'm sure they've seen enough nature programmes to know what that was.
Right, put on a bit of a show, did they?
Yeah, they tend to do that when there's the maximum number of children around, so they need an explanation.
Right, so then the children hurriedly get scooted along to the next exhibit.
Actually, yes, that was that, because I was standing there watching just out of interest, for purely scientific reasons, and you did see them all being sort of moved along quickly before they had to explain too much.
Jamie Craig, good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Curator of the Cotswold Wildlife Park near Burford and the home of Oxfordshire's Randy Rhinos.
Oxfordshire News, Oxfordshire Life.
Graham Mack.
BBC Radio Oxford.
It's a happy 125th birthday to John Logie Baird. He was, of course, the inventor of the television. To tell us more about the man behind the box is grandson, Ian Logie Baird. Good afternoon, Ian.
Good afternoon, Graham.
Tell me about John Logie Baird, then.
Well, he was born in Helensburgh. He grew up there in the house of a Presbyterian minister, and he would get involved in science after a while because what he had was a very bad health problem. He almost died when he was 2 years old, and so he spent a lot of time suffering from colds and flus. And I think this is what led him to start to read all of these science fiction and science books as he grew up, and his imagination was definitely captured by the spirit of invention, so that ended up being what he would do in his later life.
And the television he invented is very different to the one we watch today, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. The system he originally started with was using mechanical technology rather than cathode ray tubes, which was the technology that most of us were familiar with a few years ago. And this technology was able to generate images which didn't have as much clarity as today's pictures. It was about 30 lines. It was vertically scanned. It was an aspect ratio of 3 to 7. So the 3 was across the bottom and the 7 was the height. So it was much taller than it is wide. And this system was actually broadcast from 1929 to 1935.
And you say it was mechanical. It was a huge wheel, wasn't it? Almost like a cine projector kind of system.
Yeah. The wheel had small perforations around and close to the outside of the rim, and these would provide your lines. And then there was a lamp behind that would provide your light. And as the wheel spun, it would give you the scan lines, and it looked a bit like a projector when it was running. And then they came out later on with one which used mirrors, which each one was at a slightly different angle, and that would project onto a ground glass screen. It would back project, and then you would watch it from the other side. And that technology went up to about 240 lines at Alexandra Palace. for the camera only. The receivers were then cathode ray tubes, and then that was pretty much the end of that technology directly in TV.
But he was transmitting pictures, so that makes him the father of television. Because there's that other American fellow, was it Philo Farnsworth, who developed a system, but his was all cathode ray from the start. But Logie Baird had done it first, even though it was mechanical, but he was transmitting television pictures, which is important.
No, definitely. He was the first person to get a picture, and he actually would later work with Farnsworth because he adopted electronic techniques in 1932, and he was actually the first person to demonstrate an all-electronic cathode ray tube which could produce color. So that was,
he produced color television as well?
Yeah. During World War II, he continued on, and this work isn't very well known. He was producing 3D colors displays with 600 lines, and they could have been upgraded to 1,000 lines had he lived a bit longer. So that would have been comparable to today's HD picture quality.
Wow. Did you get to meet your grandfather, Ian?
No, he was only living till he was about 57. He died in 1946, and my father was only 11 years old when he passed on. So I got to know my grandmother very well. She lived on into the 1990s, so she would tell us quite a few of the stories. So I knew her very well. What
would she tell you about the man?
Oh, well, he was quite set in his ways. He was very technical, always thinking about experiments, tending to overwork and work into the midnight hours on things. But he was a devoted family man. He took care of my father and my aunt as well. And he was not very musical. And because my grandmother was a concert pianist, he once said to her, "Oh, I recognize that song," and it was the national anthem. And she was always noticing how tone deaf he was. So he had certain very gifted areas in his mind, but music was not one of them.
And what about you as the grandson of John Logie Baird? Have you invented anything or given the world anything?
I've mostly been an historian, so I'm mostly looking back at what other people have done. I haven't invented anything myself.
That must be terrible. You must be asked of the comparison all the time. What have you done?
Well, I write a lot of articles, and I think I've discovered some things in history that may have been previously undiscovered. But no, I've never tried to engineer anything. But my father took on the engineering, and he's got a few patents.
Has he really? He's got some patents?
Yeah, things about surface tension and refining of nickel. And he took on the chemical engineering side, and he's had a very long career in that. And he's been advising Canada's largest nickel refinery on how to streamline their blast furnace. So it's been
and you're the curator of broadcast culture at the National Museum.
Yeah, I'm an associate curator at the Media Museum, and my area of expertise is history of television, and I also cover general media ecology as well.
Is John Logie Baird's original television still intact as an exhibit?
Yes, we have their 1925 apparatus that he built. He had several apparatus, but the one we have is one of the very important ones, which is it contains most of the components that showed that first picture of Stooky Bill, his famous ventriloquist dummy head only, that he would use as the display as his test subject while he was trying to adjust everything, because nobody could sit under the hot lights for more than a few minutes, and he needed somebody to sit there for hours. So that was why he used Stooky Bill, and we actually have the original Stooky Bill as well, the first thing ever seen on TV.
And we can see that at the National Museum?
That's right, yeah. And the telechrome tube as well, which was the first color picture tube that was suggested for practical use.
Good stuff. Do you ever sit watching the TV and go, I wish you hadn't invented this?
There are some shows where, I have to agree with you that they're just awful, but there's an awful lot that's good on television, and fortunately we have the remote, although he didn't invent that. That was invented in the early 50s, but we have the remote, so that's the way out of that one.
Yeah, well, if you just think about all the worldwide events we witnessed live, like the Berlin Wall and the moon landing and everything, it's just an amazing thing. Thank you very much for talking to me, Ian.
Oh, thanks.
That's the grandson of John Logie Baird, the inventor of television. That's Ian Logie Baird on BBC Radio Oxford.
Television, the drug of a nation, breeding ignorance and feeding radiation. TV, its satellite links, our United States of unconsciousness. Apathetic, therapeutic, and extremely addictive. People in American choice, better living through television.